We are live! Yay, Arthurian! Woohoo!
Just in
Hello.
time. Not exaggerating. Walking
Literally.
in the last second. Nothing
Hi,
terribly
Alex. Hi, Mir.
exactly went wrong, but some things are late being right. So I had to modify. I had to alter the deal.
Yeah, we had to Discord today.
However, Fate, now I want you to listen to me very clearly, Fate. I'm not challenging you, Fate. Nay, I am not.
Oh, boy.
In fact, Fate, I'm thanking you because 11 years of curveballs and things going wrong has prepared me for things like this. Of like, oh, I just do that now. Boom. And look, we're here.
Yeah.
And we're live.
We have a backup system in place.
I got backup systems, my backup systems, man.
Yeah, we do. and there's always a Google Meet too, Hangouts. I remember that was one of the first ones we used when I started with LWDW.
Things have changed back and forwards, but we are live. We're doing the thing. We got audio, we got video, and guess what? We even have a show to talk about with you. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up, we got to do Ubuntu, kind of. We got a point release, really the version that a lot of people, if you're like me, you wait around for the point release. System 76 has got a new laptop. Linux 6.0, it's out. There's nothing new to report, but there's something that's kind of entertaining to report on it. And,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what it's like installing an actual professional sound card
Yeah.
in Linux. And yeah, I know. You're like, but Finn, I have my Focusrite Pro. And it's like, no, professional sound card. Big difference.
Yeah. Oh, Alex, I'm glad you got your booster, but happy you get to rest now. That's always a doozy. Was this your third one, or your after your two main shots? Was this the first booster or the second? I'm gonna be getting my second very soon. Booster, I mean.
Let me get right in the show notes. So we got about 8 minutes before we're going to go live with the show.
Okay, guess I better go take my break.
On top of everything else, I have been, like a lot of people, playing around with everyone's favorite new game, Spooderman.
Yeah, Spidey. I will be right back. Oh,
Okay.
That's cute. Look at the Spider-Man and the with all the pretty plushies.
He doesn't look quite that bad under Linux, but don't be fooled. It runs poorly under Linux. It does, compared to the Windows version. Not something you want to hear, but I'm here. I'm Old Man Vin. I'm going to tell you the truth. And that's one of the things I kind of want to talk about. I went into it maybe a little bit on Saturday on Linux Gamecast Weekly, because one of the most reliable places to get your Linux port information is ProtonDB. It is, and I'll tell you why. If you didn't notice, to get a verified report, you got to do the little system configurator thing where it will find out what operating system, CPU, and GPU you are currently using. You don't get to add your fanfic of like what hardware you fantasize is running on or how well a game is running on, menial hardware. You got to be honest about it. The problem with ProtonDB, the real problem, and I noticed this really came to mind the first day we had God of War released. There's like a 24-hour lag from when things get submitted to when they show up. So it was the next day. And it's real handy to have all the tweaks that everyone has tried and what they've played around with. You just had to wait. You go to Linux_score gaming and kind of play, like, hopefully people are being legit. But yeah, I've seen even like crazy top-end systems like struggling to hit 60. And it's one of those things, it's very confusing. Now, I'm playing it with a 3060, which it's not utilizing much of. It's not. Maybe 60% load on the GPU. What's really curious is I've seen this string of like, to do all the decompression for the city and whatever, and like, well, it's super CPU dependent. I don't have a particularly fast CPU. I have a 12 core, 24 thread, 1920X. That is constantly sitting at 20% usage when I'm zooming through the city. I was not doing much. So there's some questions. Maybe we'll get a driver update from NVIDIA. I'm curious as to how it runs on AMD systems. Outside of the Steam Deck, because you're on the Steam Deck, what are you aiming for? Like 30? I mean, I can hit 30 all day long, but what I'd be looking for is a 1080p 60 at minimum. 1440 if you're feeling nasty. And that's one of the questions I have about NVIDIA, is because it does use DLSS. Not really seeing a performance increase using DLSS versus FSR versus using anything. However, when you enable DLSS, you get a nice fidelity bump. Like, jarringly so. So who knows? Who knows? That is up. That is together. I gotta get back in. If you play Trackmania with us on Tuesdays and race with us on Fridays, I had some time last night. I was waiting for some DNS things to fail back over. Not fail over, but switch over. So I think I have first place on all the tracks from Tuesday except for like 2 or 3 now. There's your challenge. And we'll be back playing that this Friday along with Turbo Golf Racing, if that's your thing. The only problem with Turbo Golf Racing is we can only do 6 player parties. And we got way more than 6 people that want to play it. That's one of the first things that I hope they fix. Get at least 2 extra slots. That would be very, very much welcome. I need to reset the graph on capacity. That's good. That's good. And that's like two things I want to talk about right at the beginning of the show. Here's your Go Feel Old moment. This week, Gnome turned 25. Gnome is 25. And Debian has turned 29. Debian's almost 30 years old. It's weird putting dates on it. I had to go back and like, I don't think I even bothered with GNOME until GNOME 2. I mean, I'm sure I launched it. I definitely launched it. I used to have to uninstall GNOME 2 pretty regularly because that turned out to be the default X environment on Sun workstations. And on Sun workstations that were not powerful enough to be running GNOME 2. But yeah, it's kind of weird what you start out with. I was never like huge into Debian. Like back in the day, I was a Slackware junkie. I just used Slackware. And then I started using Red Hat around probably around Red Hat 4 when I started regularly using Red Hat, just because they made the install so slick. And guess what? Guess what? Even way back then, like, I was curious. I was nuking installs all the time. Breaking things, learning how to fix it. That's part of learning. And yeah, like, here we are.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Gamatron. Hi, Autopress. Good to see you. Oh. Yeah, Ven has a mustache right now. Oh, Alex. So you're 29. I wish I was that young. Aw. I mean that in a good way. You know that, Alex. We all kind of wish when you get past 20, you all kind of wish you can be back in your 20s again.
Well, there's the thing you got to sit and think about. I mean, somebody right now is going, man, I wish I was still 40. And there's somebody who's like, man, I wish I was still 50.
Yeah. Always. I would like to relive my late 20s over again. That was after I had major surgeries and I almost died. And I was coming back to life and I met my Steve husband. Yeah, it's nicer when by the time you're 30, you have more money to do stuff, which is nice. That's definitely a thing. And our Theron's 25. Oh my goodness.
Oh, man. Yeah, my 20s didn't exist. I traded my entirety of my 20s into my early 30s for a paycheck. So.
Oh, okay. Work.
Yeah, I didn't I skipped that part of development and I'm still making up for it. Oh, man. Well, I mean, you never want to age out. You know, you don't want to you got to fight against that. You got to fight against that. You don't want to genuinely IRL be the person that tells the kids to get off the lawn. You got to have that empathy. You know?
Yeah.
I ran into that.
Yeah.
I remember last year it was right after Christmas, a kid getting a dirt bike and he was riding up and down through the neighborhood like, rah, rah, rah. I'm like, you know, I really should go talk to his parents when they get home and be like, yo. I'm like, nah, man, I can't do that. I can't be a narc. I went and found the kid and told him if I saw him riding without a helmet again, I'd tell his parents. Woodstock themed electric forest. Man, that does age you out. I didn't go to the first Woodstock. I'm not that old, but I went to the second Woodstock. Yeah,
Alex, I know it's been a hard few years for all of us, and especially if you wanted to travel. It's kind of put a stop on everything, didn't it? We're all trying to make up for those years lost. Oh boy. Yeah, so I'm glad you're taking it. How long is your road trip, Alex? A couple weeks or 1 week or? Yeah, what year is it is right. Oh, nice. Got 3 weeks. Woo. You got a nice break from your work at System 76. Oh, that's good to know. They have good vacations too. They give you good vacation time.
3 weeks? That's not bad.
See, I'm wearing my shirt Emma gave me. Well, one of them. I have so many. Emma's given me a lot of System 76 shirts. Yeah, I hear ya. Hey, fellow Stan. Absolutely. Yeah, I have this one. I have the pink one. I have the blue one. And I got this orange one. And maybe I'll get a yellow one, too. And then I have a Papa West shirt. A gray Papa West shirt. Mm-hmm.
There we go. I'm killing time right now because I got a road crew in front of my house.
Oh joy.
Fortunately, they're not jackhammering, but they're doing the edging on the top of the trees.
Oh, yeah.
So they got that big monstrosity, but they're slowly moving further down the road. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I'm going to be bringing up in the show. We were looking at the Galago,
Yeah, Galago Pro. It's nice.
which get me looking around. I'm like, well, how much is a Threadripper Pro for the people over at System 76? And System 76 says we got one. Well, you got to do edging. Like, I live in a forest.
Yeah, you got to do it frequently.
I don't have to do it. The county does it. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I think it's probably the electric company that does it. But,
Oh, yeah, for the wires and everything.
yeah. Like, the average age of trees out here a couple hundred years old, man. Like,
Yeah.
you can see the tops.
We have both. The city does it and the electric company, the state does it.
I know Strider was working on trying to model some city he grew up in El France, and
Bordeaux, I think.
no.
No.
Just trying to get the textures to model it to get it inside of a blender, which got me on Google Earth and looking around, which always gets me creeping in my immediate, because I keep forgetting there's a like giant lake, probably about 6-7 kilometers through the woods that like nothing's around. I want to go exploring. So if I disappear one day, I like got into like some Saw adventure or something like that, I just want to go trekking out through there and find out what's the story behind that. Because it's not like connected to roads or anything like that. It's just sitting out there. I'm like, oh man.
Nice.
Yeah. I saw people were tattooing their cats. I know, right? They're like the hairless cats, and they're like, oh, they're getting tattoos. And I'm like, that's going to completely mess up the flavor.
Oh. That's not nice. Unless they were just temporary tattoos.
Listen, you're just feeling bad because you laughed at it. All right?
Yeah.
I have a very cryptic note that I left myself. It says plus 5 milliseconds LGC. I'm sure it was onto something. I got to work on my IRL documentation. I also think I need to bring. I finally got a hold to. I got access because I took that P350 motherboard and I flashed it with their BIOS to run the Ryzen 3s. And it's like very pared down, like you just gotta use keyboard. I'm getting to the bad documentation. I finally deciphered what they meant. Like to change values, press enter to plus or minus.
The plus and minus, like the old days, yeah.
And there is no select whatsoever. In fact, you have to hit a plus or minus button, is what they mean by that.
Okay.
So you can increment things by 1 or 2. So I was able to underclock it, and I got it at 3.5 gigahertz. I might need to take it back up to like 3.9 and just lock all the... Well, I have all the C states locked, so it's locked at 3.5 right now. It's a balancing act. ROCM? What do you got against ROCM, man?
Mm-hmm.
I gotta take a look at, am I hitting the top of, where exactly am, okay, so I'm not really blown into that too hard. All right, let's move that back over there.
Mm-hmm.
And you go back over there. All right, I think we're about ready. Can we get any last minute?
Okay.
Pink food coloring on your parents'
Oh,
white dog?
no. Oh, yeah, it eventually comes out. Oh, that's, oh.
Oh, man, I can imagine that, me being a child. I was like, Mom, I spilled food. Is it hazardous to the dog? I can just see my mom's like, we'll find out.
Yeah.
All right. good. Got a me shot. We got a Jill shot. I've moved all of my buttons around too, everyone. So this is going to be a dicey show no matter what. Because I got responsible and organized. Because what we had is, I got the Stream Deck, but I got it hooked up to BitFocus Companion. So every show has its own page. And they were just organically put together over the years. I'm like, okay, maybe we'll put, these shots up at the top and these other shots at the bottom. They were all different. So I went back and organized them to all be the same. What I'm trying to say is they're all wrong now.
Yeah, you got to train yourself to the new layouts.
Perfectly logically laid out. Everything's easier to reach, but my muscle memory is trying to get over to the top weird one where it was just at. Oh. And I haven't put any of the pictures back on it to force me to read them too. All right.
Yay!
That's good. I did a social media. I got that. I need our song so we can bounce out of here. Yeah, we were racing around Trackmania and Jill's like, hey, this is a new song.
Yeah.
It wasn't said like with any joy or happiness. I was like, what's this?
No. It was just so foreign.
Like, this is different. What's going on?
It's nice to have a change.
Unknown. Am I at the right? Okay. Wait. Hey, whoop. LGC outro. Which means, there it is. All right.
If we have the LGC outro, I could read it easier because it goes by a little slower.
Everybody says that till we get to the churlings.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can never go through all those anyways. Jordan does a pretty good job of it, and Pedro.
Oh, man.
Aw, Alex.
Yeah, what's his name? Your boss, the owner. He likes my
Carl.
tweets sometimes. Carl.
Yeah. Carl Shell. He's a nice guy.
Because it's always like, who's that? Oh, okay. There we go.
He does. He's so down to earth. I can just tell by the way he speaks. Heard him a lot on a lot of talks on podcasts and interviews, and he just seems like a nice, kind guy. And Emma speaks so highly of him. He's so good at listening to everyone.
What were you saying?
Oh, we're just talking
That's
about
a joke,
Carl.
Jill. That's a joke because you were talking about how good he was at listening.
No.
All right. Cool. Let's do it. We're recording. We're live. We'll throw OBS completely under the bus if anything goes wrong, as is tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Linux Weekly, daily Wednesdays where we sit back, we relax, we take that midweek break, try to talk about some of the fun things we found going on in the Linosphere. Man, that's probably a trademark thing. Don't sue us. I'm Vin. That's Jill. And everybody watching us live, twitch.com, not twitch.com. What is Twitch? Well, why do you not have twitch.com yet? Twitch.tv.
Yeah, I know.
I am old. I am partially senile. And more than once I've tried to... I was on somebody else's browser. I didn't go to Twitch, and I'm like, here's our Twitch thing. I'm like, after the third time, I'm like, right, twitch.tv. That's where I gotta go. Mm-hmm. But here we are. Here you are, listening to us after the fact or live. Jill, you're going back to Disneyland. I'm surprised. Are you not full of Disneyland? Have you not been like, no, I'm good. Just like lay back. Nah, man.
I've actually missed it a few more weeks than usual. Usually I'm there monthly, but because of scale, it kind of, put it on hold for a while. I had to take care of a lot of things for scale and all the excitement and preparedness and then recovering after. So this weekend is my recovery at Disneyland. And
What
I'm,
does one do to recover at Disneyland?
oh boy, have a really nice dinner and watch the fireworks and the shows and go on some rides. When it's cooler at night, it's nicer.
Right on. Right
Yeah.
on. I had an
Mm.
adventurous, like last hour.
Yes, you did. Oh,
What?
I heard a plane, I think.
Heard one of those big trucks going by.
Oh, okay.
They're cutting the tops of trees because,
That's great.
yeah, I'm like, grr, you evil trees. And we were waiting on that just a minute ago. I was like, what else can go? There's something else out. Nothing went terribly wrong. I'll spare you the long story. It's always DNS. Always DNS. I ran into that again. But a couple of things happened this week. A couple of things I was talking about in the pre-show. Gnome has turned 25 years old. Gnome has been out
I know.
25 years.
Yeah.
That is crazy, isn't it?
It is, Ben. You remember the days, the first GNOME desktop where you saw the gnome troll foot was the wallpaper? That
It
was so
was.
cute. Yeah.
I never really was attracted to Gnome. Even like I know I tangoed with it out of curiosity back in the 1X days, and I uninstalled it a lot in the 2X days because it was shipping with Solaris, and
Yeah.
it would be on like an Ultra 5 and an Ultra 10. I'm like, these are not powerful enough to run Gnome's CD. It is,
Mhm.
and but yeah, just to think it's been out 25 years, but it's just a wee young lad compared to
Yeah.
Debian, which celebrated its 29th birthday this year.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. And that was one of my first distros after it was actually between Red Hat and Debian. I started using around the same time, but Debian I started in 1993 after Slackware.
I think we all started with Slack back in the day, and
Yeah.
I had went from Slack to Red Hat. I forget if it was like Red Hat 3 or Red Hat 4
Yeah.
at the time when I'd moved over to that because Red Hat had everyone beat in the installation department. They had that super slick incurses based, like doop, 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 doop. You could just put it on. And this was back in the days. I mean, the story stays the same even today. If you're installing Linux, you're going to break it. Why? Because you're playing with things. You're learning how to do things. Now, hopefully you are learning how to do things instead of like Windows style nuke and pave every single time because you're not learning anything like that. I think a lot of it back then was like, it was like storage and getting it installed. You didn't, once you got everything set up, you didn't have an extra drive to back anything up on. You're like,
Yeah,
oh
exactly.
no, man, I'm not losing this. I will spend a week trying to get everything back up and running. I'm looking at
Yeah.
UX. That was usually over the weekends. But yeah, and just like how things have changed. And here I am back on Debian in 2022. And that's just kind of like what I'm rolling around in.
Hey, it's the stable big daddy of all Linux distros, really. I mean, it's the foundational distro for so many other distros.
It is.
Yeah.
Jordan was talking about at his work. He was like, yeah, Debian 11's pretty good, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't end up on Debian for everything in the studio because I was throwing darts at a wall. If you want, it's effectively the most up-to-date LTS that you can really get your hands on.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, I look forward to your feedback on people who completely disagree with me. A couple other things I was playing around with, though. This was the entirety of Monday.
Yeah.
That
Wow.
all I did on Monday. OBS 28 is out. I got it to build, but it's one of the catches is what you're looking at on the left there. That is a web interface for like setting up. I use Bitfocus Companion to control the Stream Deck, which is how I switch the shows. I press the buttons, and OBS has WebSockets 5.0. It is not backwards compatible. I hit up the guy who maintains the OBS module for Bitfocus Companion like a week ago. And he got back and he's like, hey, I got to build up. I pushed it out to beta, which caused the problem of like the hard mode is I have Bitfocus running on a Raspberry Pi back in the rack and it just controls the Stream Deck. It's like, how do I get that on a beta channel? There's no documentation on the entirety of the internet on how to do that.
Oh boy.
So that was the first half of the day. And I finally am like, you know what? Let me just try a new image. And turns out the first time you run an update, you will blaze over it because it's not highlighted. It'll give you an option to pick which channel you want to update from. It's like, aha, and I finally got it. And I had to do a little more playing back and forwards, left and right. But we finally got everything up and running. And no captions this week because that's still in the works because it was compiled with a slightly newer version of GCC than what I currently have on Debian 11. And okay, we might not have captions for a little while because I got to test out OBS 28 and find out what's going to catch on fire. But yeah, it's been pretty interesting.
Sounds like a lot of fun, but you got it working, Ben. That's the important thing, and all the web sockets. And
well, I learned things, right? I learned things. Like that is think about the value add of that. You know, it feels good. As much as you really don't like a problem, I can't be alone. I got to assume a lot of you out there, especially when you're in the middle of something and you're getting time crunched, you're like, there's a part of your brain that loves it. It's like, this is awesome. I'm having a great time. And
love the tinkering.
like that pressure. That pressure. But if you want to play it nice and smooth, easy and safe, Ubuntu might be for you.
Yes. So, So the first point release of Ubuntu 22.04 LTS is now available to download. And of course, it is Ubuntu 22.04.1 LTS this release combines all the bug fixes, app updates, performance tweaks, and security patches rolled out to the Jammy Jellyfish version since its April debut. And there's a lot of major changes honestly with this version. The Snap packaged version of Firefox should start a little faster now that Ubuntu and Canonical is working with Mozilla on the speed of the Snap for Ubuntu when you first launch it. And there's updated NVIDIA graphics drivers. It also has the latest GNOME Shell 42 point release. And this really, really big change, Ubuntu 22.04.1 LTS defaults to Wayland on hybrid systems with NVIDIA graphics drivers, but defaults to Xorg for non-hybrid systems with NVIDIA graphics.
That's going to be kind of interesting.
Very interesting, yeah.
Mainly from the sit back and like, is that going to work?
Yeah.
Finally? Maybe?
Yeah. And, you can go in if you log out in the login manager, you can actually change to whether you want to use Wayland or Xorg. On previous releases. So I've been playing with it a bit and it's getting more and more stable, which is really nice. And there's just, it is a huge jump though.
It is a couple of things in this. I mean, being a point release I was talking about this before we started recording. This point release, when I was playing around with Ubuntu back in the day, was definitely what I waited for after any update. Like, let's wait until they get the point release out. Why do you want to do that? Because not everything goes smoothly after a major release or a major update. And like, let's wait for that point one. And that's always that's what the job is. And you might be wondering, well, how do I install this? You don't. That's part of your update packages. You already have it if your system is currently up to date.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what's really, really nice. But if you're running the previous LTS 20.04 Focal Fossa or the previous short-term release 21.10 Impish Injury, then you can expect to receive a 22.04 update notification anytime now. In fact, a lot of people already have. So you should be getting that notification
And if
soon.
Windows has taught you anything, you click ignore.
No, not with Linux. Especially the Ubuntu LTS upgrades have been really super smooth. They have been the last 5-6 years, just been super smooth. In fact, I've got to update a 20.04 system.
Yeah, if I'm on a LTS system, I'm not upgrading anything.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to do LTS out? Oh, that's adorable. Have fun with it. But, if you're running an LTS intentionally, you already know that. I'm not telling you anything new.
Yeah. And as usual, you can go and grab one of the installation images for the point release and go to the downloads page, and you can get a new image of 22.04.1 there. So you can just install directly from that point release.
So do you think you get in trouble if you buy a brand new System 76 laptop and you put Ubuntu on it? Do they call you up and they're like, nope, you got to send it back. You can't do that.
Well, Ubuntu 22.04 LTS is one of the options with Pop! OS 22.04 LTS on the System 76 computers and laptops, including the Galago Pro. So the fine folks at System 76, the makers of awesome computers and laptops powered by our wonderful Linux, have a new version of their Galago Pro Slim and Light laptop available. And the updated Galago Pro specs are, it has a 14-inch 1080p matte display monitor, 12th gen Intel Core i5 or i7, Intel Iris Xe graphics, up to 64 gigabytes of memory, System 76 open firmware, and gigabit Ethernet, Wi-Fi 6, and Bluetooth 5, among all the usual USB ports as well. This is just, I was so happy to see that they pretty quickly got the 12th gen version out. And I actually configured a Galago Pro that I'm interested in buying that has 16 gigabytes of RAM, 500 gigabyte NVMe drive for just over $1,000, $1,127. And because I'm in the market for a very light and powerful laptop to travel and go to Linux conferences with, this one is definitely at the top of my list. Because I like the look of it. I like the silver color, and it's just a nice laptop.
Well, I like that they have an option to pick the 11th gen because...
Very nice. Get a little discount on that too as well.
$100 off, and you don't have to deal with the nightmare that is Intel 12th gen on Linux right now. It's not pretty. It's not a good experience. And if somebody tells you different than that, they're lying to you. You got to be running like kernel 518 to even get your access on that thread director stuff that's going on right now. I'm not saying that these won't work or anything like that. I'm just saying there's still a lot of work to be done in that area. But like Jill, I put one together that I would begrudgingly carry around just because I wouldn't want to carry around a laptop. But if you're like, Vin, you have to carry around a laptop. And I think I ended up about $1,500. That's not bad at all. You're always surprised because you think about System 76 as kind of like a semi-boutique, PC manufacturer. And you're like, oh, it's probably going to be paying a bit more for that. And I'm like, $1,500 for one. And while Jill was talking, I went through it and I'm like, okay, let's just build the YOLO version. $2,600.
Nice. Yeah.
Now, admittedly, me and Joel come from a different time. We're like, $2,600 for a laptop would be cheap, period. But, $2,600, I'm like, okay. And that's maxed out. That's RAM maxed out. That's storage maxed out. Admittedly, I didn't get the extra monitor or the keyboard, but I did pick the 4-year warranty on that. And then I went together. Yeah. So, and you get a System 76 for the support and other niceties like their open source firmware, which is just brilliant. Huge fan of that. It's got a matte screen, which should be standard. Glossy screens on laptops are criminal. Period.
I agree.
And
I agree.
Again, I do want to say there is a flash sale on the 11th gen right now. So if you are looking for a laptop, there's nothing wrong with the 11th gen. And it did get me looking around though, because I'm taking little baby steps of getting into the market of looking for a new main box in the studio, which is Threadripper. Threadripper is a first gen baby Threadripper because I didn't need the thread ripping so much. What I needed was all those PCIe lanes for capture cards and fiber optic stuff. So I went looking around System 76. I'm like, because Threadripper, the latest Threadripper, it's a dead end. AMD's already came out and said no more after what's already been made. Going forward, we're only doing Threadripper Pro. I'm like, well, fine. If I'm going to buy a new Threadripper, it's got to be a Threadripper Pro. Those are eye-wateringly expensive. Like we're talking,
Yeah.
welcome back to $1,000 motherboards, $1,600 CPUs, which I didn't see an option. Maybe it's something System 76 is working on, though. Maybe they're going to have because that's slowly rolling out even on the consumer end, ability to buy the Threadripper Pros outside of like from just Lenovo was the only place up until very recently. I'd like to see that. I don't know what the market is for like workstation, like high-end workstation stuff like that. You know, I saw like a dual Xeon type things, but I don't want to stick with AMD. So yeah, that I'm going to keep an eye out for that because I think that'd be a nice addition to have a Threadripper Pro option in the. Yeah, I mean,
having
like,
that Thelio would be so sweet.
With that,
and you can get 2 GPUs then, or 3 or 4.
For what?
Well, you never know what you're going to use.
See, this is the difference between me and Jill. I gotta have a reason to get something. I'm like, I got a 3060 in this Threadripper. Why? Because it's all we need. No, I'd like to see that. They probably will. They might be working on something like that right now. But to have like a nice little Atari 2600 color Threadripper, that'd be neat. Of course, they'd have to redesign the backplate for that case and all that fun stuff.
Well, I know they're working on a pink one because I talked to Emma and she said they're working on a pink one. So I told her I'm going to be very interested when that pink one comes out. And I'm wearing an orange System 76 shirt right now. I got it scale. I get one at scale just about every year. So this year I got the orange one and I love it.
Here's what we need to bring back. We don't need RGB. I want somebody to, here's what I want to see. I want to see a resurgence of cold cathode lighting.
Oh,
maybe System 76, you can do something like that. Call it a throwback. Because there was nothing like having a straight up barbecue you if you touched it wrong electrical system inside your computer case back in the day.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Oh, boy.
Right next to your home built water cooling.
Yeah, back in those early days of case mods. Oh, my goodness. I knew someone who put a neon light in their case and it
cold
leaked.
Cathode, yeah. Yeah, that was the thing I did. But it wasn't for like, ooh, because it didn't blink. Like, it's lighting. Isn't that neat? We didn't have fancy things like LEDs back then. So, yeah, there's that new version of Linux is out. What's Linux? Linux is a kernel. A lot of people get that wrong, but you know what? I will never get onto anyone when they refer to a distribution of Linux because, man, no one likes that person. It's like, well, actually, everyone. Because when they do that, and I'm like, well, don't you mean GNU Linux?
GNU Linux, yes.
Oh, man. No. Yeah, the well actually crowd does not respond well to getting well actually. What we're talking about, though, Linux 6.0 has arrived. There's a whole article over in ZDNet about it, to which I'll go, okay, you know what? That's neat. That's kind of interesting. There's some things in it, but, you know, over 60% of everything that was updated in this, you can thank AMD for, because you're looking at 13,000 change files. Most of that is yet another AMD GPU register dump. So, and there's some AI stuff thrown in there too. We missed out on 520. A little disappointed in that. We got a 420. We didn't get a 520 for
Well, there was reasons.
No, not really. Linus said he didn't care. It's an arbitrary number. He just made it up. Don't care. He said, if you want to call it 5, I'm reading off what Linus himself wrote.
Yeah, but I also said in the article that this release was created to avoid the confusion of releases in the 20s, like 5.20, you know, 5.21, 5.22. He didn't want to go past the 20s. So.
We didn't get our 520, so I feel you out there. I feel you, but we got 6.0 RC1. It's a thing. And unfortunately, we got to say goodbye to our 5X codename, Superb Owl.
Yeah.
Is no more.
True.
It's gone. We got a 6.0 series, which, you know, Superb Owl was a silly name. It didn't really like show the Linux community as professionals as we are. You know, I always felt it was, you know, people like, well, your codename for your Linux is Superb Owl. How adult and responsible is that?
Yeah.
So we're
Aw.
finally going to do something about that. The code name for 6.0 is Herder. I'm a ninja sloth.
Yes. Yeah.
Not even kidding.
That's hilarious, actually. Oh, that's their sense of humor. I love it.
We can finally be
yeah.
taken as serious business professionals.
Yeah. So, most of the updates in this release are improvements to the GPU networking and sound. And Linus says the rusty bits are actually coming soon. So that'll be cool to look forward to. So that's going to happen in this series.
You know, I'm looking forward to the Rust thing, but kind of like I would watch a car race. I'm like, let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
Herder, I'm a ninja sloth. That's just going to be the show title. All right, deal
Yeah,
with it.
that is awesome. I gotta remember Herder, Ninja Sloth.
Maybe you at home. I got to get my prop. I've wanted to install a. Okay, first off, we all know sound doesn't work on Linux. Like we're communicating telepathically right now, live. You know, from Los Angeles, from Atlanta, to your home. But maybe you've actually wanted to install a professional sound card, sound device. Mm-hmm. And you're thinking, but Vin, I have a Focusrite, little red, the YouTuber special. I have a professional. I said professional. Not to take anything away from these. These are little commodity devices, and they're great for, doing things like this. But if you need something with like insane features, high capacity, you probably don't even think about Linux. You're like, well, Twitter told me sound just doesn't work on Linux. Like, why would I even bother getting like a studio quality mastering converter set? It just wouldn't work at all. And you would be wrong. Now, I know what you're thinking. Those of you looking at the video of this, that cannot be a professional sound card because it doesn't have RGB on it. It doesn't blink, and it doesn't have like big comical, useless, do nothing at all capacitor sticking out of it. And I've been told by Asus and other companies, Sound Blaster, that is a baseline requirement professional sound. And it's not. So if you've ever wanted to install a professional sound, look, there's my little opening video. I can probably cut to the chase right here. This is how it goes. It's not as bad as you might think it is. And this is legitimately a studio quality mastering converter. This is a format converter before you would even call it an interface. It is, to date in 2022, one of the biggest and baddest audio interfaces available on the market. That's why it's kind of neat, because we're playing with something new. And it's replacing, if you look on the right on the video there, the 9632 from 2003 that I was running in the studio. Now, you do have to compile drivers. That might be an issue if you're not into that. We were joking on Saturday because Wolfire released a video of how to compile the source code for Overgrowth. And they did it from Windows. And I was like, no wonder Windows people are traumatized from, like, when you bring up compiling source code. That was a nightmare. It was like a 23-minute video. Like, I could have done that in 35 seconds under Linux. But yeah, I walked through that and just show you how to get everything set up, compiled, how it runs with Jack, benchmarking it, showing you some of the cool things it can do. And I take it out of a box because you have to do that if you do a YouTube video. You just got to walk through that. But I have a guide, and the story behind this was kind of interesting. At the beginning, there's a configuration panel where you can set all your inputs and your output and, phone levels and all that. There's the mixer that you can use with it if you want, which is kind of a funny story because we're still waiting on an updated version of that. That is the mixer, original mixer from 2003 that still works with RB hardware. Brand new device. Wow. Yeah, still works. Setting it up with the jack, and for whatever reason, now I kind of joke, you can use this as a regular sound card with Pulse Audio. If you want bragging rights among all of your friends, and be like, my sound card that I just have my headphones plugged into is better than yours, and you would be right, you could. You can use it as a sound card. And I wanted to joke about that until I went on to the RME forums, and some people have bought these not as a like 17.1 audio surround sound controller for their home theater, but as their PC sound card. Oh,
Yeah. That's
if
kind of
you
something I would probably do some.
you say that, and these things are $999.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what, Jill?
No.
If you plugged those like $8 headphones into this, I think
Oh, yeah, yeah. No.
it
I
sounds
had
amazing.
when I started here on LWDW, I had a professional series one that I plugged in my XLR mic into, but I didn't use that as a sound card. It was just for doing streaming. But I could use a sound card.
Absolutely can.
Yeah.
If you want to go through, take a look at it. I tried to document it. This was kind of interesting because the card that came out before this was just the RME AIO, and it's been out for about 5 or 6 years. And RME discontinued it. And I'm like, okay, we've had a good run. And it was based on Smolder Tech, but it was in PCIe format. And the gentleman who made the drivers for this was using them for broadcast. He used them for local broadcasting and live streams and stuff like that.
Nice.
Made him hangry. Like, why are you just because they released the AIO Pro, he plugged it in and like, well, that doesn't work under Linux. And this was kind of shocking because RME has provided the technical documentation to Linux driver developers for 22 years. He was like, RME, what's wrong with this? And RME's like, well, I mean, do you want the source code for the drivers or anything? Fortunately, he was the right guy, though. He was like, yeah, give it to me. I'll write the drivers. So he created the kernel drivers, and they're up on the GitHub with configuration utility and all that. And now we have
awesome.
The AIO Pro. And speaking of backwards compatibility, that's something I tried to point out in the video. The like balanced breakout cables from the 22-year-old 9632 that I was using, pin compatible. Just unplug it from that one, plug it into the brand new one, still works. Everything's the same.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's really nice. The dongle worked.
Yeah, you get that. You get that support. I mean, that you roughly what you're paying for with the RME stuff is that longevity of support because they still make the 9632. You can still go out and buy one new. You know, you got a product with a long runway. Unless you bought the AIO, then you're upset. So, yeah, go check that out. It's over at linuxgamecast.com. I like doing stuff like that. That's always nice to have like a little Halo product. If, you know, you run into the person's like, Linux audio and Linux, doesn't mean you show them that video and be like, that's better than what you have.
Yeah, true that.
Just watch them get angry. But don't do that. That's mean. I'm just saying, I would never do anything like that. That makes more sense if you watch the video version. Check it out. With your support, we're able to do things like that over at patreon.com/Linux Gamecast. We get a bunch of membership levels filled with a bunch of different rewards that you can get up to and including access to our super secret Discord that we hang out the other 7 days a week. That's our Slack. That's where we have all of the behind the scenes comfort. And you would think that we would be smart and intelligent enough to have like a super private one for them. No, we don't. That's just where everything just gets dumped with about 70 or 80 of your closest Linux loving miscreant friends.
Yeah.
Of course, we have IRCs, we got the Twitch chat, and everything's tied together for the live show. So it doesn't matter where you're at. We can hear you. You can also pop in from a Twitch subscription and you can hang out with me and Jill, not just on Wednesdays, but on Tuesdays and Fridays where we do the Trek Manias. And it's our vintage retro gaming night with an 11-year-old racing title that no one seemed to like, but we like it. We got a custom server set up for it, and we do 14 new tracks each and every week, and we practice. We call ourselves the Filthy Casuals because you're like, what? I mean, I have like an hour, 2 hours a week to put into this and to play around. Yeah, it's physics platforming. It's just an excuse to get together, talk about Linuxy things and movies and whatever we got going on. We'll have a race, and we do like air quote, like actual contest on Fridays with a points match where it doesn't matter if you're the fastest. You just got to get around and collect the most points. So it just means you got to finish. And you can win some free games. We try to spice it up in the after shows, and we'll be playing a little bit of turbo golf racing. It's just kind of like a community night with physics platforming. I think it's kind of fun. I don't know if Jill likes it or not.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. It's become one of my favorite games. And it's nice that I can just sit down for a couple hours and feel pretty confident that I'll make it around the tracks and do halfway decent times. So nice.
Yeah, exactly. And like, if my old self can do it, you can too. So
Yeah.
think about it like that. We got a couple of new patrons we should have thanked last week, but I've been scrambling.
Yeah.
Also, hang on, I want to make an apology to all of our Death Note and above patrons. I did not get the show notes out for this show this week.
Oh,
My
okay.
bad. That was a senior moment on your friendly, lovable old man, Ben. But we do need to thank two new patrons, Joe.
Yeah, we got Sacred Egg and Live Tea. Yeah, thank you so much. They became our patrons 2 weeks ago, and we're you got thanked on Linux Gamecast and now LWW.
Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet.
Sven had a senior moment. It took a week.
Now, have you ever been followed? Have you ever been tracked? Or have you ever done roll reaver? Have you ever been spying on somebody? It could be a problem.
Yeah.
Brings us to our tracking pie. It's more like a tracking cake, but
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's
anti-tracking. Because you know what? Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not following you. You got to keep that in mind. But this article comes from Wired, and it's talking about, for about $200, you can build a handy tool that scans for nearby devices. It's going to send you an alert if what it does is looking for like the same Wi-Fi hotspots, but also phones in a 20-minute window. Give you a nice little display notification, be like, you're being followed, man. I'd love it if it had that voice. That'd be even better. So in theory, this would in fact let you know that you're being tailed or possibly just driving in normal LA traffic. But it fits in a shoebox, something the size of a shoebox, runs on a Pi 3, portable charger, gives it the power. It's got a nice handy touchscreen to show you those alerts. Now, it does include an ignore list. So you'd be like, okay, this is not something actually following me around, or, maybe another one of your devices or something like that. Now, I was reading through that. Now, the source is available for this. I do have that. Chasing Your Tail, a tool for using wireless signals to see if you're being followed. Oh, no, it's released under the MIT. This was part of DEF CON that happened, which was always a fun event. Yeah, I read through that. Like, thanks for the tips. I think we all know now, after reading through this and learning about it, to power down our mobile devices before tailing people. Probably a good idea, so they don't detect you. And, just be old-fashioned. Just do it the old-fashioned way. Put a couple of air tags behind their license plate, like a normal person. You don't have to follow them around.
There you go. And I like the title of Matt Edmondson's talk, Chasing Your Tail with the Raspberry Pi. I thought that was a great description of his project. And what's cool is at the Black Hat Security Conference, where he presented his research, there's actually slides from the presentation to find out more information. And I read through those. Really, really fascinating. And this is just honestly a really amazing project. Edmondson actually says that in the future, the device could be modified to send a text alert instead of showing them on the screen. And also a GPS unit could be added so you can see where you were when you were being tracked. And something then I actually found really, really fascinating. He is also interested in adding the capability to detect tire pressure monitoring systems that could show reoccurring nearby vehicles. Wow. It is amazing our AI has gotten so good.
Again, air tags behind the license plates, kids.
Yeah.
Now, my first thought about this was the way my brain works. Like, oh, this would be a very highly irresponsible, incredibly dangerous game to play with your friends if they could track you. Like, keep away. Like, get all of your friends' SSIDs and
that would be cool.
No, it would be horribly. Don't do it. Do not do it. I'm just saying that would be fun. Maybe somebody should make a video game based around that.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm sure that's something they could probably play with at DEF CON for sure, or the next Southern California Linux Expo. That would be a good game to play.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're being followed, maybe maybe you want to set up something like this. I don't ever pay any attention. Like, if you follow me, that's great. Like, whatever. I used to have a, not like, maybe I would try or like think, especially after you watch like a movie. You're like, oh, maybe I should check my mirror. Like, oh, is that car? Maybe I'm going to turn left here, turn right here, just to see if then what do? Then they turn left or right. Then you got a problem. Like, okay, they probably were just going the same way anyway. Brain, quit panicking. You make the other turn. It's always fun to see stuff like this.
Yeah, this is really good for, people in top secret government work, or PIs, and people who need, to track criminals, or
stalkers.
Yeah. Bad people. Track bad people.
Oh, man. That's the thing. But hey, we've already filled up our time, Jill. We got to run out of here, kicking and screaming. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And you know what? Follow us. Don't build a Raspberry Pi thing. Throw it away. Follow us on the social medias and the alerts and all that. All the fun things that are involved with that. But, guess I didn't include a credits button. I got to do it manually. Prepare yourselves. Okay. Let's see if I still remember how. Where are the credits? I don't see the credits.
There's the music. I see the music. There they are.
Now, I did last week's credits. So you get to
LGC.
read. You get to read the credits this week, Joe.
Yeah.
See, you were just talking about
the Linux Gamecast advisors. Our advisors are Omegas, our Theron, our executive producers, Barbrandt, Scott M, Atomic, Mike G, Empty, Drummer, Kahuka, George, Pebble, Toraz, Unoid, Chicago, Patrons, Abstraction, Sea Monsters, Ronaldo L, Rexima, Trudkills, Nubbin. I've lost it.
I do want to thank all of our death notes. Just big in. Foxy's fine. Doom21, Smashly, Kim, Basil, Nova K, Marcin.
We got Eastwick in there. We got Alex in there.
That's two.
Yeah. Gamatron's in there. Me and Steve, me and my husband are in there. We've been in there for years and years. And Mir's in there.
Tom Sacred Egg, and of course Levitt, our latest. Aww. And that's our fine upstanding cannibals. That's the wall behind me. Everyone who's picked up a thing in the studio. Thank you, each and every one of you.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone. Have a great rest of your week. This was a nice little
love
break
you all.
from reality. But We'll be back next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh.
Now I'm going to add a credits button right now.
Okay. So you don't forget. But it was nice to have those credits, actually. I could read it a little more of it.
Let's go to OBS Studio, scene to program, credits. Where do I want to put it? Credits. I'm going to drag it right about there. Okay, now we have credits. Reason we're doing that, because we're being proactive. So next week, I'm like, I don't have a credits button. Remember last week? Ah, man. So we got through that. There was no hiccups. That was nice.
Yeah, we did. Back in my mind, I was all like, oh boy, let's not have a fire today. Not have a fire.
Oh, man. Let me put my professional sound card back on the rack back there. There we go. Oh.
So yeah, everyone, we're using Discord right now instead of our usual Jitsi because Vin is playing around with the DHPC DNS, sorry.
The complexity. We're talking about that in the pre-show. Like the old days, like, hey, I'm going to set up a website. Neat. What do I need? A name record. What else?
Yeah.
That's it. Point the IP address at the domain name. Set up an Apache. Nowadays it's Nginx, but Nginx, but Pedro called it Nginx, so it's always and forever will be Nginx to me.
Yeah, it's
And,
Nginx. That's how the workers say it. Nginx.
well, that's how the people who made it
Yeah.
say it, is Nginx, and Pedro called it Nginx.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember because I was the one who corrected him because they come to scale almost every year, and they weren't there this year, but they were the ones I learned the correct pronunciation.
Like several years ago on Linux Gamecast Weekly. It's a old meme we got going on.
Well, on LWDW we talked about it too.
It might have been. This was like pre-LDW, like before the show even existed. Because me and Jordan cracked up because we couldn't figure out what Pedro was talking about. I'm like, what is Nginx? And we had to look for it and look for it and look for it, and we finally found it. So for me, it will always be Nginx.
Yeah.
That's the point of the story. And getting that set up with Prod-C and the turn server.
Yeah, Mir, I am aware of this. I've seen them at other locations too.
But I don't really envy anybody who's got to do web-facing network stuff at all. I really don't. Part of me wants to set up BSD instead of Linux. I know, go take me out back, but I'm more familiar with BSD web-facing anyways, as far as locking it down, than I am with Linux. VTuber. I had to Google what a VTuber was way back.
Oh.
Like maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. Well, time dilation that we've had the past couple of years. It might have been 3 years ago. Because somebody was talking about, the VTuber thing. And like, VTuber, is that like a new feature in YouTube? Or what's going on? I'm like, oh, that's all. I was let down thoroughly. I thought it was like a thing. I'm like, oh. Right. You're just doing character animation tracking. Like, I guess you had to come up with a name for it or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, virtual YouTuber. A lot of people use avatars on Twitch, on their Twitch channels too.
Ambience. If I had something in here that let off ambience, I'd throw it away. Trying to keep things quiet in here as possible.
Aw, Alex. Yeah.
But people really like their audio knobs. I think the next interfacing Linux I'm going to be doing is going to be talking about audio knobs and audio faders with control surfaces. And how to set those up on Reaper and Odddoor. I still need to do how to properly do a podcast in a DAW video.
Yeah, that would be good.
Am I going to develop a mustache into a twirling point? No. There's nothing more to be said about NetJack. I mean, I think I covered NetJack to a high enough level that ain't nobody going to be bothering with it, man. Like, I'm curious, like, what more do you think NetJack can do that I didn't demonstrate?
That's cute, Mira. I like that. Bonjour. Aw. Aw, Alex, I like the kitty cat. Back and forth head.
Well, what I'm waiting for is like and I've said this publicly, not talk to the Red Hat people about that. He's like, so when are you going to move over to Blackberry? Do stuff like that. I got to have real-time, lossless transport over the network to do these shows. That is a requirement. And yes, I know I can do it with hardware. I used to do it with hardware. I'm not going back to that because that was one of the things I tried to demonstrate in the What the Hell is NetJack video. I'm like, let's eliminate 18 points of failure with a network cable. Plus, it's better audio quality.
Net Jill. Yeah, Beastie, did you know my brother is named Jack? So we're actually a Jack and Jill. He is my older brother, just like the story goes. Jack and Jill went up the hill. I got to hear that my whole life. And Jill came tumbling after. Aw. Oh, and Alex, you'll have to check out, if you didn't watch it yet, last week's LWW. Because I showed a picture of me and Emma at scale. That was fun.
All right. I gotta get this out. That's good. That's good. We didn't have any hiccups. I don't know, man.
Oh, Jack and Daniel. Yeah.
I like how Adam Savage took care of his twins. Naming convention.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I need to follow him again on Twitter. For some reason, I'm not getting his tweets. See, sometimes you have to go and click the bell again. Oh, yeah, Alex, good. I love that picture of us together. Aw, yay. Yeah, that's right. Because I tweeted it and then she gave it a heart and yeah. Aw. No, it was great. We had such a fun dinner with System 76, your crew, on Friday. It was amazing because it was the Destination Linux crew, System 76, and Gardner Bryant, and we just had a lovely dinner. Oh, awesome, Alex! Wonderful. I was hoping you and Linux GNU were going to be coming next year, next March. Yeah, you got to meet him at System 76. Yeah, Gardner's a really nice guy. He's very down to earth. And it was funny when I started here on LWW, he said people were I told him, I said, people asked me if I was related to you, because of the last name, obviously. And he said the same thing. He said a lot of people have contacted him asking, are you related to Jill Bryant on Linux Gamecast? Nope. But what was fun on one of Gardner's recent scale videos, I commented. I said, I said, well, we're not relatives in by name, but we are part of the same Linux family, and he really liked that. Yeah, I would be. I'm definitely his auntie. I would be his auntie. That's good. Yeah. Like I'm Auntie Jill to Arthur in chat. But yeah, me and him had a fun conversations.
All right, everyone. I hate to cut our show short in the after shows, but I got a ton of stuff I got to get to.
Yeah, Ven needs to get going.
Have everything ready and together for Friday. We're going to be doing the Filthy Casuals. You come more than welcome to hang out with us. We have our voice live if you're playing. You can say words and we'll hear them and we'll respond to them. That'll be a thing.
Yeah.
And we'll do some Turbo Golf racing in the after shows. And so if you're able to show up after that, we only got 6 spots. So those spots are going to be reserved for people playing Trackmania. Do keep that in mind.
I'm looking forward to Friday.
Yeah, it'll be fun, right?
Yeah.
Let me get that. Okay, so I'm going to have to, yeah. And this will be out later today. And hopefully I'll have all my Jitsi stuff tied back together and working properly by Saturday, where we'll be back for Linux Gamecast Weekly. But hey, thanks for showing up. Thanks for hanging out with us live.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll check you out next week.
Next week will be easier for Ven, for sure.